we would all be on our feet as we take the national anthem. We may have our seats. Thank you. Again, before we continue, can I ask us all just to give ourselves a round of applause? Please give yourselves a round of applause. It is indeed good to stand here before you this morning as we look at the capital market as a catalyst for economic development and sustainable growth. We will now take the welcome address of the President of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause as I welcome Mr. Olatunde M. Amolegbe, FCS. An adjustment, and I'll have to just take a few introductions before we take the welcome address of the President of the Institute. Of course, please, I would like us to appreciate the presence of our chief host, who is the President and Chairman of Council, Mr. Olatunde M. Amolegbe, FCS. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you very much. Well done for the good job that you have been doing. And also we have our special guests who have been invited. Please, I'd like us to appreciate His Excellency Prince Dr. Dakpo Abiodun, the Executive Governor of Ogun State. Please, let's give him a round of applause. We also have His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Edo State, Governor Obaseki, FCS. And of course, we have the Executive Governor of Lagos State, His Excellency Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, please give him a round of applause. We have our principal officers, like I mentioned earlier, the President and Chairman of Council, Mr. Olatunde Amolegbe, FCS. We also have the Registrar and Chief Executive, Mr. Joseph D. Akerewusi, FCS. Please give him a round of applause. Please give him a round of applause. Then we have the First Vice President, Mr. Oluwole Adeosun, FCS. And the Second Vice President, Mr. Oluropo S. Dada, FCS. Then we have some of our special. We have Senator Ibikunle Amosu, FCA, the Chairman, Senate Committee on Capital Market. Please give him a round of applause. And we have Honorable Ibrahim Babangida, ACS, the Chairman, House Committee on Capital Market. We also have the Director General, Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Lamido Yuguda, CFA. And we have the former Director General, Nigerian Stock Exchange, Professor Indi Okereke Onyeuke, OON, FCS. And we have the Group Chief Executive, Nigerian Exchange Group, PLC, Mr. Onyeka Onyema, OON, FCS. And we have the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Mr. Olusegun Awolowo. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now take the welcome address of the President and Chairman of Council of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers in Nigeria. Please welcome Mr. Olatunde Amolegbe, FCS.
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Edo State, Governor Godwin Obaseki, FCS, the Chairman House Committee on Capital Markets, Honorable Babangida, the President, Chartered Institute of Bankers, Mr. Bayo Olugbemi, Bayo Olugbemi. Distinguished past presidents of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, present here today. Distinguished council members of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, present here today. Distinguished fellows of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, present here. Members of the Institute, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the Governing Council and the entire membership of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers to the Institute's Silver Jubilee Annual Stockbrokers Conference. Our esteemed members are obviously spread across all geopolitical locations around the world and in all walks of life, and the annual Stockbrokers Conference represents the prime family gathering of all chartered stockbrokers every year, irrespective of where they are. For those interacting with the Institute for the first time, the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers was established by Act 105 of 1992, Laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and given the clear mandate of determining the standards of knowledge required to practice as a core professional in the securities and investments industry in Nigeria, and to provide the required training and certification to those candidates that are deemed qualified to practice. As a consequence of this legal position, no person or persons is permitted to perform core professional functions in the Nigerian capital markets without obtaining appropriate certification from the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it was barely 2 months ago that the federal capital city of Abuja was set alight when the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers hosted both the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, and the Honorable Minister of Trade, Investment and Industry, alongside the cream of economic policy makers and titans of corporate Nigeria, to an enormously impactful third CIS national workshop at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja. The thrust of that workshop was the establishment of a clear path to achieving double-digit economic growth for Nigeria. Even as we gather here today, the Institute is still receiving positive feedbacks for the far-reaching recommendations contained in the communique that was published and circulated at the end of that engagement. The annual conference is slightly different in concept from the national workshop because it's primarily a family event. However, the two events are strategically similar because of their focus on economic and capital market advocacy, with the intention of ultimately achieving significantly increased economic activities nationwide using a strong, inclusive, and efficient capital market as an essential tool. The 25th Annual Stockbrokers Conference, which we are holding this year, is truly unique in many ways. First, the conference is delving deep into the arena of macroeconomics to harness solutions around the themes capital markets as a catalyst for economic development and sustainable growth. In the course of the event, participants will be taken through the following key contemporary issues. Number one, the review of the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA, opportunities for the capital market. Number two, MSMEs as an engine of growth for economic development. Three, understanding crowdfunding, impact, and its regulation. Four, fintech evolution and the capital markets. Five, unclaimed dividends and suggestions for the 2021 Finance Act. Second, and more importantly for the capital market, this year's conference will authoritatively signify the return of the stockbroking profession to its traditional place as the career of choice for Nigerians. At the Upper Point in Victoria Island, we shall be inducting a record 321 new associates of the Institute this year. I think you should give yourself a round of applause. Also, we shall be investing a record 40 new fellows into the highest level of qualification in our institute. Although the stockbroking community worldwide is traditionally an elitist one, reserved for the best of the best, the last time the institute recorded this kind of numbers was the period before the global financial meltdown that shook the world between 2006 and 2008. It is therefore a testimony to the far-reaching positive reforms that have taken place in the Nigerian capital markets since 2010, that in the last 4 years, the Nigerian stock market had been adjudged the best performing in Africa in 2017, and subsequently, the best performing in the world in 2020. And of course, your institute, the CIS, is beginning to record big numbers of new entrants into the profession as a consequence of this growth. I must state at this junction that our institute had made significant progress in the last couple of years towards improving the welfare of its members and the advancement of the profession, of its professional objectives. We have, for instance, been able to, one, provide free life assurance to all our members. And this life assurance will apply to the new inductees that are joining the profession today. Number two, we have reviewed our membership rules and regulation, as well as our members' code of conduct, to bring them to world-class standards. Number three, we have reviewed our tribunal rules to bring them up to modern requirements. Number four, we've commissioned a state-of-the-art office complex to provide a conducive atmosphere for our staff and members alike. We have also made significant strides in amending our establishing act in order for it to capture its actual essence by executing an MOU with the SROs of related operators within the market. Number six, we've strengthened the financial base of the institute by adopting an effective approach of engaging with our members and other stakeholders. Membership subscription compliance have skyrocketed due to these strategies. We have also conducted the very first remote examination in the history of the institute. At the last September diet of our examinations, we had some candidates taking our exams remotely from as far as the US, the UK, and Hong Kong. Our institute is also on record as being one of the first organizations in Nigeria to embrace technology as a new way of life. CIS was the first professional body to conduct a full-fledged computer-based examination diet. We have decided this year to make this event an hybrid event. Still retaining the wide reach enabled by virtual technology, while returning to the invaluable intimacy that a physical event offers. The conference promises to be very exciting in terms of intellectual content. We are bringing top-notch experts in various fields to give insights from the rich knowledge base and experience. Even more importantly, we are welcoming the executive governors of Edo State, who is also a fellow of our institute, His Excellency Mr. Godwin Obaseki, FCS. We are also expecting the executive governors of Lagos State, His Excellency Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and the executive governor of Ogun State, His Excellency Mr. Dapo Abiodun. This conference has also attracted the participation as speakers of several internationally renowned experts, such as Dr. Jason Mahoney of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission in the US, Dr. Douglas Anna of the Chartered FinTech Academy of Hong Kong, and Dr. Shane Warner, the head of market intelligence and data analysis of IOSCO in Spain. All this, in addition to the first-class speakers that we have assembled from our local resource base in Nigeria. May I express my sincere appreciations to our friends and strong supporters in the National Assembly for once again demonstrating their love for participating in this conference, I have the pleasure of welcoming to our midst the chairman of the Senate Committee on Capital Markets, Senator Ibikunle Amosun, and the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Capital Markets, Honorable Babangida Ibrahim, himself a fully qualified and inducted associate of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. I thank all the eminent speakers and discussants who were carefully chosen from various professional fields to bring value to this conference. Finally, and on a very important note, I wish to congratulate all our new associates who will be formally inducted at this conference as members of this noble profession and institute. I extend even greater encomium to the older members whose professional accomplishments have set them apart from the crowd and who will consequently be invested as fellows of the institute at this conference. The Nigerian economy, and indeed the capital markets, is still practically virgin territory with so much opportunity, where so much opportunities abound. Nigeria currently has a massive infrastructure deficit to cover. The level of financial inclusion and capital market literacy in the country are still below the ideal. So, as stockbrokers, you are only limited by your own resourcefulness. The future is indeed very profession in Nigeria and for your individual careers. To all of you here gathered today, I thank you for accepting our invitation. Please enjoy the conference, and by that, I hereby declare the Silver Jubilee Annual Stockbrokers Conference open. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Please give him a round of applause. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you very much. We will continue with the introductions right after we receive the opening address of the Executive Governor of Edo State, His Excellency Governor Godwin Obaseki, FCS, who will be addressing this gathering virtually. Please, let's give him a round of applause. We'll need to put so much energy into our clapping now because, you know, it has to be communicated virtually. He must feel it wherever he is, wherever he's speaking to us from. I want us to clap until the governor actually smiles. Your Excellency, until you smile, we will not stop clapping. All right, he's now laughing. That means we are doing very well. Thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. Am I being heard clearly?
Sir, yes, we are just hearing you now. So we would like that maybe take it from the top. Your Excellency, sir, we can't hear you. Your Excellency, sir, can you hear us? Oh, you can hear us? Your Excellency, sir, we can't hear you. Your Excellency, sir, can you hear us, sir? Okay, you can hear us, but we can't hear you. Okay.
I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, you can hear us very clearly. We want you to let us know if so we can hear you. I mean, speak so we can hear you. We can't hear you. We know you are speaking, but we can't hear you.
But let me try another connection.
Okay, we heard that you are trying to check your connection. So I think you can go on now, sir. I think you can go on now, sir.
Can you try another connection? This one, it's from the end.
We can hear you now, sir. We can hear you.
Can you tell them now?
Your Excellency, sir, we can hear you.
Mr. President, can you hear me now?
We can hear you, sir. Your Excellency, we can hear you.
Okay, so I can go ahead.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. This morning, I am going to, in my opening comments, talk about the connection between our economic development as a country and capital markets. We'll also try and see how the weak developmental indices of our country has affected the development of our capital markets, and emphasize the need more than ever before for a strong capital markets in the process of getting our people out of poverty. And I will close very briefly with what we have tried to do or accomplish in Edo State. As all of you stockbrokers know, they said the capital markets is the barometer with which you measure the economy. And that therefore there's a very strong relationship between a vibrant capital market and the economy of the country. And you can see the relationship between this, between these two variables across the world, because there's very clear empirical evidence that there is a symbiotic relationship between a well-developed market and the economic development of that country or entity. We've seen that countries like America, in Europe, in Asia, that where you have monetary stability, free capital movements, and very stable exchange rates have attracted more capital, have more developed capital markets. We've also seen the relationship between the capitalization of well-developed markets and the GDP of these countries. So whereas in places like the US, where the market capitalization is 143% of GDP, Canada 124%, and even Japan is about 92% of GDP. That cannot be said of Nigeria or most emerging countries. As you are all aware, we need capital markets so that we can attract long-term capital at a cheap rate for financing development. It helps governments to improve the revenues from capital gains, and it helps to aid rapid development and urbanization. So the capital market is a sine qua non for our development as a country. And for Nigeria to become part of the league of countries that are strong economically, we must have a capital market to help drive this growth. As the president of the Institute said in his opening remarks, our economic indices are quite weak. We require at this point of our development to attract substantial capital. As you said, Nigeria seems to be a virgin territory when it comes to the capital markets, because we tend to be short on everything. In terms of housing, we have over 17 million housing units deficit in Nigeria, which will cost above 85 trillion naira to build. In terms of power, whereas we need in excess of 150,000 megawatts of power, today we have less than 10,000 megawatts. In terms of water, almost 60 million people do not have access to clean water. Our railway is, our railways cover less than 25% of the landmass of this country. And therefore, we cannot, as a country, continue to move the goods and services through our territory without efficient rail lines. Roads is even more in short supply. We have 135,000 kilometers of unpaved roads. There are over 13 million children out of school, and the average spend, which what Nigerians spend in terms of medical tourism abroad, is in excess of $400 million annually. So when you look at our requirements as a country, in terms of infrastructure alone, it's put at almost 350 trillion naira. And I know as we speak that there is a development plan which is in place, which should be finalized very soon, that claims that Nigeria will require in excess of 357 trillion naira over the next 5 years to fund its development. And the bulk, at least 70% of this funding will have to come from the private sector. And that means that the capital market will be largely responsible for a large percentage of this funding requirement. Within the same period, we do not expect federal revenues to exceed 60 or 70 trillion. So that gap between what we require, the almost 320 trillion naira that will require over the next 5 years, have to be sourced from the local and international capital markets. If we do not do that, we will continue to be highly underdeveloped, but worse still, the current insecurity will be highly exacerbated or increased if we do not focus on the economy and increase the rate of economic growth. The capital market has a role to play in its developments because you as stockbrokers belong to that segment of the market that has a capacity to mobilize and allocate medium and long-term capital for our development. Therefore, the capital market will be the catalyst for our national economic development and sustainable growth. And you have the tools to do it. As an institute, you have started well. I heard the president talk about the events in Abuja and how you have tried to mobilize interests, particularly at the federal level in the capital markets. You've done, a lot of training, a lot of conferencing on promoting PPP transactions, on development project-led investment instruments, and you've done well. The market infrastructure has been restructured. You've structured the stock exchange itself. You have markets to trade OTC instruments and fixed income instruments. So the infrastructure for developing the market is already in place. What we now need to do to get this the market going at full steam to see how we can remove the constraints which have been inhibiting the development of our markets over the last decades. First, we have to first promote fiscal and monetary stability. The era where governments and the monetary authorities just continue to do the things they like, the way they like, cannot continue. You all know my views about the economy. I've expressed it publicly. And you can see that until the issue of stricter monetary discipline is emphasized, where our monetary and fiscal policies will not be stable. We have to work on improving the ease of doing business. I want to also congratulate you for engagement with the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investments so that we can create more incentives for people to come and use the market. We have to relax capital control measures and promote exchange rate uniformity. When you see what's going on in the country today with multiple exchange rates, you just shudder because we've been through this, over the last several decades. So Nigeria should not be having multiple exchange rates today because it has clear implications for capital flows. Nobody in his right mind today as a foreigner will bring money into Nigeria with these sort of unstructured multiple exchange rate markets. We have to enact policies to support capital market development because, like I said, the market is long-term and people have to be sure and confident that over years, over time, the policy measures do not affect the investments in which people are brought in. And the issue of personal security, physical security, and security of businesses have to be addressed. I know it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more the economic underdevelopment, the higher the rate of insecurity. But it's something we need to focus on so that we can give people the comfort to come in and use the market, bringing capital to develop our economy. And lastly, we have to continue to promote the rule of law to ensure there's equity and fairness and that we can enforce our contracts. These are not new constraints. They've been with us over the years, but with our democratic dispensation, I believe we'll continue to address them. Yes, we will say that despite all these constraints, we've seen capital flows, particularly in new areas like fintech. But imagine if you didn't have these controls, how much more investments we will attract into our markets. And let me just close by thanking the Institute, for lending me to Edo State. And to say that in the last 5 years in Edo State, we have tried to use the learnings from markets to affect policies in our state. We have focused principally on human capital capacity, on human capital development, ensuring that a bulk of our efforts and investments is put in education, where we have focused on foundational education to retrain our teachers to make sure that the child in our primary school, after the first 2 terms, can read and write. We have trained teachers. We continue to invest in our tertiary institutions for the training of manpower, nursing schools, the schools of agriculture, the colleges of education, so that we can build the critical manpower that we need to support our development and businesses. We've also focused on healthcare, ensuring that here again, we build healthcare on the base, introduce technology both in our transformation of healthcare and education so that we can obtain data for proper analysis and planning. We continue to invest in infrastructure, particularly roads, built over 800 roads across the state in the last 5 years. We continue to invest in energy because we are blessed in a hub. So today, Benin City alone has over 1,000 megawatts of power. The challenge is in distributing the power across the state. We've also invested in our IPP, and today our offices, government offices are powered by IPP in Edo State. In terms of industrialization, our policy is to enable people come to establish industries. And so by building infrastructure, particularly fiber, electricity, water, laying out industrial estates, we have been attracting significant amount of investors into the state. We've focused on job creation for young people. We have a job agency which today has provided over 160,000 jobs for young people across the state in various industries. And these industries range from technology to entertainment to agriculture and to industries. In terms of the institutional reforms, they're working very, very hard to transform the public service. The public service is the real vein of our development as a country, because that is where everything comes together. So if the civil service and the public service of our country and our states aren't working, it will be very, very difficult, I can see, to churn out sustainable policies that will encourage and enhance economic growth and development. And without economic growth and development, we will not be able to develop strong capital markets. My distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I have in the last several minutes tried to explain what the importance of the market, why what you are doing today on this golden anniversary conference is very, very significant, and that Nigeria is at a tipping point, and the resources, the knowledge that will be gleaned from this exercise today will be very, very useful, not only for you in the profession, but for us in government as we plan and face the challenges of the next several decades in our economic development. Once again, I want to thank you very much for inviting me to this conference, and to regret that I'm not able to be with you in person. We have a very, very busy period now. I just got in from abroad this morning, and we have our political meetings out here in Abuja all day. But nonetheless, I wish you a very, very successful deliberations in this Golden Jubilee annual Stockbrokers conference. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Edo State, His Excellency Governor Godwin Obaseki, FCS. Please give him a round of applause again. Give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you. We will now take the comprehensive introduction of the Governing Council members present and some of our guests who are also present already, while we await the arrival of the others, and we will do the needful once they get into the hall. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, the 25th Annual Stockbrokers Conference is in full flow, and so I will like us to acknowledge that flow with a befitting round of applause, even as, again, I acknowledge the President and Chairman of Council, Mr. Olatunde Amolegbe, FCS. Also, we have the First Vice President, Mr. Oluwole Adeosun, FCS. Please give them a round of applause. Give them a round of applause. Also, we have the second vice president, Mr. Oluropo Dada, FCS. And we have the registrar and chief executive, Mr. Josiah Akerewusi, FCS. We have immediate past president of the institute, Mr. Adedapo Adekoje, FCS. We have the following members of the institute present: Mr. Akim Oyewale, FCS, Mr. Karimu Korfi, FCS, Mr. Gabriel Akinyemi, FCS, Mrs. Elizabeth Ebi, FCS. We have Mr. Oscar Onyema, OON, FCS. We have Mr. Adeyemi Aino, FCS. Mrs. Fiona Aimi, FCS. Mr. Sunday Babarinde, FCS. And we also have from the Securities of Exchange Commission, Mr. Isiaku Tilde, FCS. Also with us in this gathering, we have the President and Chairman of Council of the Chartered Institute of Bankers in Nigeria, Dr. Bayo Olugbemi, ACS FCIB. And we also have, as one of the special guests, we have the Group Chief Executive of the Nigerian Exchange Group PLC, Mr. Oscar N. Oyema, OON, FCS. And I'd like us to give a special honor to the past president, 2012 to 2014, in the person of Alhaji Ariyo A. Olusekun, FCS. Please give him a befitting round of applause. Thank you very much. Certain standards have been laid for these to ride upon. Now we continue with the program of the day, even as we take the remark from the Chairman, House Committee on Capital Market. Please welcome Honorable Babangida Ibrahim, ACS. All right, stockbrokers and practitioners in the capital market, if you understand that there's quite a distance from where you're sitting to the podium, and a round of applause is a proper fuel to encourage any speaker. So keep clapping until they get here. Thank you.
President, Chairman of the Council of the Institute, members of the Council, immediate past president, other past president here, Group CEO, Nigerian Exchange Limited, other special guests, my dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my pleasure to be part of this celebration of the great achievement of the Institute since its establishment by Act of 105, 1992. For me, this 2021 conference of the Institute with the theme Capital Market as a Catalyst for Economic Development and Sustainable Growth is apt and timely. It is an opportunity for this professional body to take appraisal of its activities, in fact, in our national economic growth and passion out more and better ways, assist in alleviating the dwindling economy of the country as well as salvaging us from this economic we found ourselves. This year's conference came at a time the Parliament is embarking on legislative activities in the passage of 2022 appropriation bill submitted by Mr. President, Federal Republic of Nigeria on the 7th of October 2021. I urge you to employ all professionalism collaborating with the legislators in this process. All the people of Nigeria want to see a revamped economy where there will be great inflow of investments by investors with resultant real and positive economic growth. I want to reiterate it again here, as I always say, that the main message I have to convey to this distinguished audience is that Nigeria and indeed Africa countries know the critical role institutes and indeed the capital market can play in transforming our economy. We are making conscious efforts urgently develop the world-class capital market. You must deploy all your arsenals to the vision of the Institute and indeed the expectations of Nigerians. Once again, I assure you that the House Committee on Capital Market and indeed the House of Representatives always available to assist in any area of legislation to actualize the vision of the Institute and making the world-class market. Ladies and gentlemen, well, thank you for this opportunity. I wish you a success.
At this auspicious occasion of the 25th Annual Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers Conference, your presence indeed demonstrates your support and commitment to the theme that brought us to this event, capital market as a catalyst for economic development and sustainable growth. It is an honor to make some remarks at this milestone event, which is aimed at inspiring and enhancing innovation and creativity in business for the benefit of not only the members of this great institute, but all stakeholders in the capital market ecosystem. Economic development has been a crucial discourse over the years and across different thought-leading platforms. The bottom line is that achieving sustainable economic recovery in Nigeria as a process requires the unalloyed commitment of all the stakeholders concerned. According to the World Bank's 2020 Human Capital Index, while Nigeria has made some progress in terms of socio-economic development in recent years, its human capital development ranked 150 out of 157 countries. The country continues to face massive economic and developmental challenges, including the need to reduce the dependency on a particular natural resource, crude oil, and diversify the economy, address insufficient infrastructure, build strong and effective institutions in a bid to address public financial management systems. This is why I'm particularly elated by the theme of this year's conference, because as a stakeholder leading one of the capital market infrastructure groups on the continent, it has been our earnest desire to position Nigeria as a center for African markets. In the usual fashion of the Institute, we are gathered here to yet again share knowledge and insights on the state of our economy and the need for its development and sustainability with the aid of the capital market. This conference and theme, together with the capable panelists presenting at this event, will afford us the necessary platform to walk through our thoughts and really come up with solutions that would make an impact, not only to our businesses, but to the human capital in Nigeria. I congratulate the President and Chairman of Council, all principal officers, and all members of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers for organizing this event. I commend the efforts of the Institute over the years for implementing their role of developing sound professionals for the capital market and indeed the entire economy. I also wish to congratulate once again the executives and indeed the entire members of the Institute for the positive strides it is taking with respect to structural development, with special note to the recently commissioned Secretariat of the Institute. Perhaps I should speak a bit about the organization that I represent, the NGX Group. It is formerly the Nigerian Stock Exchange and recently demutualized and is now known as the NGS Group. We have a shared history and a rich one and partnership with CIS. We're registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission as a capital market holding company with 3 wholly owned subsidiaries, which include NGX Exchange, NGX Regulation, NGX Real Estate. We also have associate companies. These are companies where we hold over 20% and actively participating, including the CSCS, the CSD for the market, and NG Clearing, the CCP that will be launched sometime this year. What a lot of people may not know is that the group is already highly diversified with holdings in FMDQ, NASD, and a few fintech companies. With our listing on the NGX exchange, we are more committed than ever to supporting efforts aimed at stimulating economic growth and sustainability by providing platforms for businesses and individuals to raise capital through innovation, diversified products and services, enabling regulatory environment, which will in turn unlock value for our stakeholders. Our activities are designed to improve the state of the Nigerian economy and indeed that of Africa. In conclusion, the discourse of economic development and sustainability is a salient one. Thus, I enjoin us all to take advantage of the sound deliberations at this conference to fashion out our own contributions towards truly becoming Africa's economic epic center. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in the discussions today. Have a wonderful conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oscar N. Onyema. Thank you very much. Please, because some of our guests would need to leave, we would like to have a quick photo op now. We'd like to have a quick photo op. So please, I would like to invite some of our guests on here. Okay. We have please, I'd like to invite Honorable Ibrahim Babangida. Please, I would like you to come on stage, sir. And also the president of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. We would also like to have the Ashon chairman, that is the chairman of Council Association of Securities and Dealing Houses, Mr. Sam Onukwe, FCS. Please, I would like you to join on stage, even as we have this quick photo op. Thank you. Also, I would like to have the chairman of council and president, the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, Mr. Bayo Olugbemi, ACS, FCIB. Please, would like you to join in on the photo op. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a round of applause. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you. I'll just wait for that to settle down before we continue with the proceedings. Okay, thank you. We will now Okay, thank you, sirs. Thank you very much. We will take the other photo sessions as they become necessary, even while we proceed. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget that while some of us are here, the 25th Annual Stockbrokers Conference is indeed a hybrid event. So I'd like those of us that are gathered here physically to give a befitting recognition in form of an applause for everyone who is connected to this conference virtually. Ladies and gentlemen, please acknowledge the virtual audience. Every one of you connected online, we appreciate you. We appreciate your interest in the welfare of the capital market and also for honoring the invitation of the Institute to this conference. Thank you very much. You may be virtual, but you are duly appreciated and recognized. Thank you very much. We will now continue with the remarks, opening the conference, even as we receive the person of the Chairman of Council, Association of Securities and Dealing Houses of Nigeria, ASHON, Mr. Sam Onokwe, FCS. Ladies and gentlemen, petrol may be expensive, but it is much, 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 much important that you clap. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Members of Council of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, on behalf of the Council and members of ASHON, I will like out that an effective